Yeah.
What happened?
We're live, buddy.
What the hell happened?
We're live.
We're live, but no intro.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I messed it up. My bad.
He's known to be prickly and very opinionated. It's time to get in the huddle with your host, Coach Muddle.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the huddle. It's me, Coach Muddle, Nevada Nick. All right.
Yo, you're like muffled now, Coach.
What happened?
You messed your mic up. You did something.
What the hell?
Oh, what are you doing, Coach? You had it perfect. You're now off.
Technical difficulties.
Sorry.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Fuck. Man. Goddamn technical problem. I swear to Christ.
You're good now. You're good now. Don't touch anything.
Call 30-second. Call 30-second time.
Man, I had all this stuff set up and now not working because this.
But Coach, you should know better. Well, don't I tell you? Don't go with all this stuff. We all know you can't handle it. One thing happens, you're screwed.
You're
right. I don't know why you do it all. Just
you're right,
you know.
You're right. Absolutely.
No, I get it. I'm not good with that stuff either. But you know, he gets all this technical crap, and then boom, it all goes bad. But yeah, it is what it is. Oh,
it
man.
is what it is. You're absolutely right. So.
But what do you want to start with, Coach? You want to start with Harden for the Nets?
There's so much happened during our last show since Monday. But I mean, let's start. Let's go NBA and then we'll get back to the football stuff. But you know, James Harden to the Nets. You know, I mean, bitch and wine, get to go where you want.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the one thing it definitely will be is interesting. I mean, you know, you got 3 of the top 5 scorers in the league with the basketball on your team, but you got to have a respect for the word team and, you know, playing defense. And I don't know how this team's going to play defense, but if you really look at it too, Coach, on the Nets perspective, you gave up 7 years of unprotected picks. So they gave up, I think it was 4 first-round unprotected picks, but then 3 first-round unprotected swaps. So meaning if the Nets pick is higher than the Rockets pick, they can swap picks. So for the next 7 years, you don't control your pick. You know, Durant's only signed for 2 years. And we all know about Durant. You know, he could definitely want to leave. Harden's 31 years old. And, you know, look, they're saying about the big 3. Can you count on Kyrie Irving? You know what I mean? There's a lot of question marks here. So what's going to happen 3 years down the line? Because there's a good chance if Kevin Durant leaves and something happens with Kyrie, this team stinks. And then because there's no depth for the team. And then
you gave it all away.
Yeah, then all these first-round picks for maybe 4, you know, definitely 4 years, 3-4 years, you might be talking about top 5 type lottery picks that'll be going to the Rockets when you're trying to rebuild. I mean, I think it's a horrible trade, chasing a title. And honestly, I don't think this makes them a title contender. I mean, yeah, they're going to be interesting, no doubt about that. But can they beat the Lakers in the finals? I don't think so. Not, you know, because you got AD and LeBron and then a bunch of depth. I mean, just because you got 3 stars, I mean, look, like I said, it's going to be interesting. But, yeah, I mean, I don't like the trade. Stizz, what do you think?
It is early Saturday morning.
What are you doing, Coach? Why you keep messing with stuff? Let it alone. It was working. What are you doing?
I know. Because I mess with it. That's why.
Leave it alone. It was. I told you last time. It's working. Leave it alone.
Leave it alone, T-Bone.
I know. Coach, I mean, Stizz, what do you think about the Harden trade?
Well, fellas, I tell you what, I mean, you know, Nevada especially is, you know, Sixers fans, we're ecstatic about it. We're ecstatic about this trade, you know. I mean, you know, a lot of people didn't want Harden on this team. You know, it's going to screw up the chemistry. The guy doesn't play defense.
I agree with that.
Yeah, he's 31 years old, you say. So, I mean, how many more years does he have? And, we have a nice gel here. We have a nice young team in Philly. So, we'll see if they add any more pieces. But to your, info or whatever, the Nets just sold their whole future away. I mean, in a couple of years, like you said, I mean, they're going to be on the back burner. They're one of the worst defenses in the leagues, giving up points wise. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it going against the big three. If there is a big three, honestly, there's a big 2.5 because Kyrie Irving, we just don't know. I mean,
but now wait a second. Kyrie left Cleveland because he didn't want to be Robin.
Right.
He went to Boston and pretty much proved to everyone he couldn't be Batman.
Right.
Now you're going to ask him to be a 1C. I mean, not even, he's the third wheel basically of this trio. And I don't think that's going to last very long with him.
Well, not just that. Nobody's asking, how's that basketball going to go around with those three guys?
Only one they play with.
Right.
Game, right.
And Durant, not Durant. Harden loves the ball, obviously. Kyrie wants the ball. Now Durant, not as much. I mean, don't get me wrong. Durant's going to isolate a lot and wants to, he's going to want, obviously, his shots, but he's not a ball-dominant guard. But Kyrie's a ball-dominant guard.
Sure
Harden's
is.
a ball-dominant guard. And, Harden likes throwing up a lot of shots. And I'm real curious to see what the chemistry is going to be like. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't think, let alone, they might make a conference finals, but they're not going farther than that. I really think this is a second-round playoff team just because they do have great offensive power, obviously. They're going to win some games, but they'll probably make the playoffs and make it to the second round. But I don't see much more than that. I really don't.
No, me neither. Like, to Coach's point.
I agree with that. It's going to be the same as it was in Houston with Harden. Maybe get to the finals and kind of crap the bed, basically.
Well, he never even got to the finals in Houston.
No, but I mean, when it counted Game 7 and he doesn't show up for your team,
right,
in a must-win situation, you can't do it. So.
Yeah, and like Stizz said too, and I agree, it's good for the Sixers because when the Sixers, they wanted Simmons. They wanted Maxey, who's way too young and looks way too good, but with a profitable future. And then for picks on top of it. I never would have did it for a 31-year-old guy. Because if you make that trade, you're very much cutting your window. You're cutting your window to Sixers to maybe 2 or 3 years. And a lot of talent in the league. I'd rather have Simmons and Embiid and what the roster they have, and your windows now. I mean, it could be 7 to 10 years instead of 2 to 3.
Right.
Well, you still have Bradley Beal in these trade talks too. So we'll see what goes on with that. Now, I'm not sure what the exact perimeters were of that. I heard Mike Scott, maybe a couple other guys. It didn't seem like it was a whole lot for Bradley Beal. I like Bradley Beal too. So I don't know. We'll see what direction the Sixers go with that, or they just stay pat where they are.
Right. And look, if you're going to give up 2 first-round picks or 3 first-round picks up for him over the next 2 or 3 years, I don't mind that because they're going to be later first-round picks. You're expecting the Sixers to obviously be very competitive the next couple of years, But what they were asking for Harden, it's just for a 31-year-old guy who's, I don't know how, I think he's got 2 years left on his contract. I mean, you're just asking way too much. A guy like Bradley Beal, too, as Stizz said, 27 years old, 4 years younger as well. So, and the Sixers are supposedly one of the people that are, in the run for him. So we'll see what happens there. But like he said, if it's Mike Scott and maybe like Matthias Thybulle and 2 first-round picks, that's something you need to look at.
That's kind of what I heard. That's kind of along, the range that I heard. So, I mean, I'd be willing to do that. I mean, you're going to upgrade your team tremendously. So,
right.
But,
well, we'll see. Don't count out the Knicks, though. Don't count out the Knicks.
I know. Coach's 20-win Knicks. They are playing good.
They're playing good. So, watch out.
They're on pace for 20 wins. So you might be right, Coach. Watch out.
Watch out.
Coach, I mean, we laughed at you, in the beginning of the season when you said that, but I mean, you might be onto something here.
Trying, and look, I just also, finally the Yankees got the deal done with LeMahieu He's back in 6 years, 90 mil, which is good. It's not over 100. And now I'm also reading that Corey Kluber might be coming to the Yankees. I know he was injured a lot last year, but can be a dominant guy.
I think that's a good deal at $15 million per for LeMahieu.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much from the cheap. And I think it showed you too, Coach. And it's a good sign for the Phillies. The market's not good if you're a free agent this year. I just think, just bad luck of the draw pretty much.
Right.
Especially following COVID and all the teams really, not getting that revenue of the gate, the gate revenue from the big teams. A lot of teams aren't out there willing to spend other than the Mets. And like a guy like Real Malto, you're just, and that's what happened to LeMahieu. Yankees basically said, all right, go out, get an offer, and we're going to beat it. You know what I mean? And he couldn't really get that offer. And I think Real Malto's dealing with the same thing. He's trying to get an offer. I think he'll obviously get a little more than LeMahieu.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
because obviously, look, LeMahieu's a very good player, but Real Malto's had more consistency in his career. Not that LeMahieu's, but LeMahieu's really been going to another level the last 2 or 3 years when he's joined this Yankees.
He's won a batting title in both leagues.
No, but I'm saying power-wise. The home runs and the RBIs really beefed up with the Yankees, Coach. He's always been a good hitter. No, you're right about that. He's a lifetime 300 hitter. I'm not saying, but I'm saying the home runs and the RBIs really beefed up when he joined the Yankees. But Real Malto, it's like I said, I think
once the Mets signed McCann, I think LeMahieu's pretty much, or LeMahieu, I'm sorry, Real Malto is pretty much, kind of. I'm gonna get what I can get from the Phillies, pretty much.
Right, and he'll probably still break $100 million, but he's not getting what he thought, and it's just honestly luck of the draw almost. If this was back a year ago, it might have been a different story because you're before.
Well, he could always sign a 1 year, one year deal, and prove it.
Right.
Look, let's sign a 1 year deal, and because I want more money.
But Coach, here's the thing though, too, with that, there's the uncertainty of what's the market next year. Are they going to have games at home this year? Because if you don't again this year, the market's going to may even be worse next year. Look at football. The Saints and the Eagles, teams like that planned on the cap going up like it's going up every year, and now it's going down. The Saints are going to be $99 million over the cap next year.
Yeah.
I mean, and the Eagles, a lot of cap trouble too. It's really going to hurt a lot of teams, and the Eagles, and they're going to, try to do all this restructuring of contracts, and it's crazy. I mean, you really, I don't know. Especially
look, whoever comes in to coach that team is it's not a good situation. They're interviewing Gerard Mayo, the former linebacker from New England, who's only been coaching for 2 years. I mean, I just think that you're not gonna get the premium guys that you want. Obviously, a bunch of them, as we get into that now, a bunch of those guys have been hired already. To more. I want to say more, advantageous jobs. You have a lot more to work with. Urban Meyer, I'm going to start with that because that is the kind of surprise. I don't know if it's a surprise. I know it's been talked about, but his track record. Yes, he's won everywhere he's gone, but he's also left with a cloud over him everywhere he's gone. And I feel like this is another Nick Saban Miami Dolphin deal. I'm just throwing it out there. I think this is going to be a Nick Saban, note on your locker, get on the plane and leave.
Well, it's definitely high risk for high reward. There's no doubt about that. I don't think there's going to be a cloud of anything with this because those were not recruiting things, but guys getting in trouble, stuff like that. That's, he's at the pro level now. But the biggest issue is going to be with Urban is, he has this thing of burning out, and I wonder, look, you got a number one pick in Trevor Lawrence. If this doesn't go the way he wants, is he going to leave after 2 or 3 years? And now, the first 2 or 3 years of Lawrence, his career is invested with Urban Meyer, and then he walks. That's not a good thing. But if it works, man, and the quarterback and the coach, as we all know, when you have that, that's what it's all about. When you got the coach and the quarterback, I mean, look at Belichick and Brady, or Dungy and Manning, or that's the combination you need, and we'll see. I mean, like I said, it's gonna be high risk, high reward. I think he's gonna work out better than Chip Kelly and Nick Saban, and I think Saban's problem was Saban wanted to have control over personnel. He wanted Breeze, and medical people wouldn't let him do it. And right. I think that's when he said, you know what? If I can't even get the guys I want, I'm not going to do this. Because in college, he can recruit who he wants, and bring them in, the guys he thinks molds into his system. And that's the thing with Meyer. Meyer's going to have the control over his personnel. So he's starting with a fresh team with $70 million in cap room and the number 1 pick. So this was enticing to him, but it's definitely going to be interesting.
Do you guys think that Urban Meyer would have took that head coaching job with Jacksonville if they would have got the number 2 pick instead of the number 1? Or do you think that number 1 that was it, that sold him?
I mean, I would think so. I know some people will say Fields, but Fields isn't Trevor Lawrence. You saw it you saw it in the championship game. Obviously, he played really good against Clemson, but Stizz, I don't think so. I think the fact that he knows Trevor Lawrence is going to be my QB. I got all this cap room. I can bring in who I want, the coaching staff who I want. I think, I don't think he would if it was the number 2 pick. And that's a good point.
Yeah, I think he was on the fence. I think the number 1 pick kind of put him over the honestly, because I mean, now you do have your choice, because it does. Look at the Jets now; they're kind of in some turmoil. Love the coaching hire, by the way.
Yeah,
and I know, Nick, you were high on him all season with him, so I like that. But now it's like, what do you do with Sam Darnold? Like, that's the big question. Like, you're kind of, do you keep him and put pieces around him, or what do you do with Sam Darnold?
Right. And look, I do like Robert Saleh, and I think Douglas is going to give him pieces. They got a lot of, obviously, draft picks. Here's what I don't like, Coach. If I'm Robert Saleh and I could go where I want, and if I could have had a team, I would have went to the Chargers or the Falcons probably, because you look at the Jets. One, you're going to have to deal with the Bills, okay? You're going to have to deal with my Dolphins, all right? Yep. And then we haven't even brought in Bill Belichick and the Patriots. That's a tough division, man. Yeah. Bills look good. Dolphins look good. Now you go out to where the Falcons are. You say, Brady's 43, okay? Breeze is probably done after this year. So you got a division that could open up, and in 2 or 3 years, you build that team properly, that could be Atlanta's division. 2 or 3 years, Brady retires at 45, Breeze is gone. There's a chance.
And Carolina, Chargers, is still building. So,
and like I said, with the Chargers, you got Justin Herbert. Yeah, you got to deal with Mahomes, but you got Justin Herbert. You got that franchise QB. That box is checked, and a lot of coaches like that. So now they're talking about Brian Daboll, and I think that's a nice mix, the Bills' offensive coordinator, to go to, with Herbert. But I like Saleh. I just don't know. Like I said, he's got a tall order there with the Jets, and he's got to rebuild that horrible defense. And, like you said about Sam Darnold, I just don't know about the fit there.
Yeah, and I don't know, is Sam Darnold your placeholder? Because, you look at Saleh as a defensive guy. Does he go fix that defense and then go find a quarterback and fix the offense? I mean.
Yeah, but that's the problem. When are you going to give Darnold an offensive coordinator with some continuity and some playmakers? I mean, Stizz, there's not many playmakers on the Jets.
No, there's not.
I think Saleh's bringing the quarterback coach or the passing game coordinator
to come and
be his offensive coordinator. So, and he's done some good things there with Jimmy G is just Jimmy G, but I mean the play calling, that whole system is really good. A good system, and you've seen it work. Obviously, they went to a Super Bowl with that system, and it can work with Sam Darnold, I think.
Yeah, but I think they went because of the running game, and then obviously based off that. But no, look, he worked under Shanahan. Shanahan's a very creative guy, but that's the problem with the Jets. It's going to be, where do you start? Who do you take with the 2 pick? And I really think I wouldn't take the shot with Justin Fields. I think they're better off taking this, and they're saying this guy is the best tackle to come out in a while out of Oregon. Take him. You got 2 bookends at tackle. Try to maybe sign a receiver. I mean, that's the problem. They got a lot of holes to fill in the Jets, and where do you put those pegs? But I would probably start with the tackle, and
there are so many holes to fill. I would look at trading back, get some more draft capital, and try to fill some more holes. I mean, I don't know with that, because I mean, right there, why not take the Heisman Trophy winner and put a receiver in and let him have somebody to throw the football to?
I don't know if you take that at number 2. Don't get me wrong, that kid looked great, but I don't know.
He's not going to go past number 3. I think the Dolphins take him.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Dolphins need a playmaker. You know what I mean? Right. And look at that team. But I think the Dolphins got a question with Tua. I really love the Dolphins.
But you have Houston. You have Houston's pick, but your original number
18.
1 pick is 18. You could get there'll be a quarterback there at 18 if you wanted to go. The kid from Florida, and also I think the kid from Alabama. I don't know. I kind of see him. I see Bill Belichick taking that kid from Alabama.
And trust me, Belichick's going to know Stop messing with that thing. I can hear you doing it, Coach.
I'm not messing with anything.
It sounds like you're messing with the mic. I was going to slap him through the camera.
I know.
But no, Saban's going to know a lot about Mac Jones because of his relationship with Belichick. Well, excuse me. Belichick's going to know a lot about Mac Jones because of his same relationship with Nick Saban. Obviously, they coached together in Cleveland, and both Croatians and had a friendship for, I think it's like 30 years. So those two know each other very well. So he'll know everything he needs to know about him. But the Patriots too, they need to get some playmakers on offense as well, because that offense, we knew it. Look at Brady. Brady's playing to be in the conference championship game again. All they needed to do, they had the defense in New England. You just need to get a couple more weapons on top of Julian Edelman, and the Patriots would have been just fine. But Bill didn't want to do it.
Well, no, I mean, they drafted a receiver, but he
Patriots draft Harden.
He turned out to be a bust. I mean, he was terrible.
A lot of Patriots picks turn out to be busts. I hate to say it, but look it up, man. They really do.
I know they do, man. They do, and it's tough. That's
you brought up Tua. A lot of rumors circling around Deshaun Watson to Miami, and Tua going to the Texans. I mean, apparently Miami's not sold on Tua. Which, I mean, you only seen a few games out of him. I mean, you really didn't see too much. So
and Stizz too. The one thing I don't like. Teammates are supposedly leaking out too and saying that they're not sold on him. And that's not good. And then Flores had to come out and for the second time say Tua's our guy. And look, Flores doing the right thing, but we'll really see. You'll see after the draft and obviously free agency if they think Tua really is their guy. But it's not good when guys in the locker room are leaking. And I'll tell you this, if I was the Dolphins, whoever that Miami Herald writer is, and it might not sound good, but I would probably revoke his, because you know what? I hate writers that post anonymous sources, because you know what? You're messing with my football team. Right. I'm allowing you to come in my building, and you can say freedom of speech and all that, but you know what? That's their building. They can allow who they want in there. But man, if especially the Dolphins, because they're headed in the right direction. You know what I mean? If you're a 4-12 team and a bad team and guys are leaking things out, kind of like the Eagles situation, let's be honest. Yep. I get it. But when you're 10-6 and just missed the playoffs and a team on the rise like the Dolphins, you don't want stuff like this going on in your locker room. So I would be very upset with the media and my players, whomever it is that leaked it.
Well, listen, you look at see what happens with the Eagles now. They got some locker room, difficulties, people kind of talking out, and you see what's going on with that. With the whole Carson Wentz situation, and some of these players, kind of not backing them. It could turn an establishment around. I'll tell you.
Stizz, I think that was the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back.
Absolutely,
when Doug Peterson did that thing in week 17, I think they said, you know what, with this locker room, we can't bring this guy back now. I really think Lurie knew that was going to be huge in the locker room. And look, there was other issues.
No, honestly, I don't think Lurie realized how big that thing blew up to be.
Right.
Because I can almost guarantee you that, it's going to come out that it came from the top. That wasn't Doug going rogue.
Yeah.
To do that. Okay. I'm sorry. You're not going rogue to do that.
Yeah, but he's already, so the Eagles were kind of, leaking things, that Doug wanted to, I think, to kind of not maybe embarrass Doug Bakley, released who he was going to bring in he wanted as offensive coordinator and all that. And that was, I think, to show the fans, like, look, this was this guy's plan. And then you just heard that supposedly the Eagles after 2016 which this means this was leaked by Doug, that the Eagles wanted to fire Frank Reich. And Doug fought for his job and kept him. So that was leaked by Doug. Obviously, the Eagles aren't going to leak that.
Right.
Because Frank Reich goes on, they win a Super Bowl, and then goes on to be the head coach of the Colts. So I think it's messy right now. And it's ugly, and it's not good. And I'm concerned because, look, as long as Howie Roseman's our GM, and for some reason, like, I don't know what he's got on Jeffrey Lurie, if he's got some pictures or whatever it is.
He's got some blackmail.
Something, man. Because Lurie does not want to let go of this guy, and it's been going for years. And look, I like him as a cap guy, as a bean counter. I don't like him as a GM. I don't want to pick on my players.
Yeah, but John, they hired Dorsey, the former GM of both Kansas City and Cleveland,
right?
And I think he's going to be more of the GM role of player evaluator. He did build that team in Kansas City and in Cleveland, both that you see, his hands were in there.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be more of and they're going to keep Howie as the bean counter, and that's the way it's going to operate.
Yeah. Okay.
So
you want to get into the game?
It's not a very big, enticing job. It just isn't. Okay. And no, we didn't get Atlanta hired a football coach, the offensive coordinator. I didn't realize this. His dad's like the CEO or president of FedEx.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So does he get free shipping? Like when he has to ship stuff, to players, like playbooks and stuff? That's free.
Is that how he got the job in Tennessee? Isn't FedEx headquarters in Tennessee?
Yeah, they're in Tennessee. Yeah.
Okay. Look, hey man, what he did with that Titans offense, let's not forget. That offense was bad with Mariota.
Yeah.
And then you get Tannehill in, and look, man, they averaged over 30 points a game this year. Now, and you got to give him credit too, because you saw this huge bump in Tannehill, okay? And then you saw this huge bump in Corey Davis and A.J. Brown. I mean, those guys, both the one receiver, I think, I can't remember which one, but he missed it. I think Corey Davis missed 1,000 yards by 16 yards. So they almost had 2,000-yard receivers and a 2,000-yard rusher. I mean, that's impressive on an offense.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's tough to stop. You got a 2,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard receiver, and then you still got, Jonnu Smith's good. Stizz will tell you he's the fantasy guy.
Yeah. Ferkster, got sprinkled in there, a little bit during the year.
Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah, but he was a nice player too. So Arthur Smith, no, I like the hire. Eagles actually interviewed him, but I think the problem for the Eagles is, they're far down the list, man. I would take the Falcons before the Eagles. I would take the Jets before the Eagles. People, the Eagles are one of the worst jobs in the thing, which is pretty crazy because Philly's been one of the top organizations over the last 2 decades. But this is where we sit now, 3 years after a Super Bowl, and it's all our front office and Jeffrey Lurie's doing. So they're the ones to blame.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% with that. But now let me ask you, the Atlanta, where do you start with them? You got an aging quarterback, aging receiver. You have running back by committee, and you came from Tennessee where you had that bell cow. You had, you were able to take a veteran quarterback and kind of tweak him and fix him, but you had young receivers. So, do they go and, what do they do? I
think Matt Ryan will come back for a year and they draft a QB and let him play and maybe get taken. I don't know. I mean, that's going to be the big question: is what do they do with Matt Ryan? I mean, you'll keep Julio, but if they're an older team, you're going to have to get younger and kind of figure out what you want to do. But
I wouldn't be surprised if Julio is not on the team. I could see him getting traded on draft day somewhere for maybe a third, maybe a second. I mean, you're not going to get a first for him, but he still was pretty productive as a receiver. Stizz probably can tell me more about that. He didn't he only play like 12 games and still had like 800 or 900 yards receiving.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. I mean, he's banged up every year. That's the problem with Julio. But they did get a nice receiver in that Calvin Ridley. So I think even if they do move on, with Julio Jones, they draft a receiver opposite of Calvin Ridley. Okay, you're running back by committee, but I think they'll be all right. Calvin Ridley really, really stepped up this year. Really stepped up.
No, and he had some big games too. You're right about that, Stizz. And look, if you can get the right compensation, now let's not forget though, Arthur Blank loves Julio. He really does. They have a good relationship. So it's going to be.
He came out and said he's not opposed to getting rid of Matt Ryan or Julio Jones.
No, well, come on, you got it. Look, they gave them a nice run. I mean, they've been going at it for. Look, they were in the Super Bowl now. It seems recent, but I think that's like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. We'll see what happens. I mean, because I think they were the year before Carolina, so it's been a long time now. So they gave them their run, and now it's time to bring some new blood in and figure things out.
Yeah. So we still have We still have 4 jobs open. I'm sorry, right. four jobs open. You still have Houston. You still have Philadelphia. You have San Diego or LA and Detroit.
Yeah.
So, and
Eric Bieniemy don't have a job yet either, which it makes me wonder.
But he's still playing, so that's
I know, and a team could be holding out for him. But man, if I'm Eric Bieniemy, then that's the one thing with these coaches. I get there's only 32 jobs, but man, I ain't going to coach the Lions. I'd rather go back to Kansas City. Like, look at Brett Venables with Clemson, the defensive coordinator. Sometimes you got to understand where you're at, too, where you're at a special place and you can win and be successful. Now, look, if the right job comes along, take it. But if I'm Bieniemy, I ain't going to Detroit. I know Stizz ain't going to – too cold for Stizz in Detroit. You know what I mean?
I don't like that cold weather, bro.
No, and Stizz is hot, man. We're in a fantasy football playoff thing. 45 people. Guess who's in first place? I'll tell you this guy, man.
The kid.
I'll tell you, the guru. I'll tell you, man. I should have never brought him on here. We gotta widen the doors when we go out now to get his head in the thing, man. I'll tell you.
And
28.
Let me see. Do I have this right, Stizz? Is it right? Is it right? Are we 28-6?
That's right.
28-6, Coach. I gave you 3 more winners last week. You know, I just keep on running. I'm like the choo-choo train. You know,
like I think he's at like 9 straight or something too. 9 or 10 straight.
9 straight. 9 straight.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like the Soul Train running through. You be looking for Don Cornelius. You know.
Prop bet of the day coming up.
Yep.
We got Nick's picks coming up.
Yep.
So
look at that. Look at Coach with the mic. Look at you, Coach.
Wow, man. Yeah.
Rebounding a little bit from the start, man.
Yeah, little rough start. I'm a little partly cloudy this morning, man. It's a little rough, but
couple false starts for Coach, but
Yo, listen. We were going to rename him from Coach Muddle to Coach Muffle. You know.
Oh,
the Coach Muffle show. That's great.
Muffle. That's 2 F's. That's 2 F's.
Yeah, I know, not 3. I heard it one time. The one time, Stizz, we were out and I'm like, Coach Muddle 3Ds. And he's like, what are you talking about? I go, your Facebook page has Coach Muddle with 3Ds. No, it don't. I said, yeah, it does, dude. Yeah. I'm like, he looks it up. He's like, oh, I never knew that. He spelled it wrong. Spelled it with 3Ds.
Well, in my defense, my screen was cracked. So I couldn't tell. So that's why there was 3 Ds, because my screen
looked like 2 Ds to you, right?
Yeah, it looked like 2 Ds to me.
I don't think it was your
and
screen.
I am dyslexic too, so I can't even spell my own name.
Yeah, I think it's your head that's cracked. Not your screen. Now, you want to start with we want to get in the games now, Coach? Is that good?
Yeah, let's get into some football. We got some action. We got 2 games today. We got. Which game you want to start with?
Start with the Bills.
First game. Yeah.
Well, no, that's not the first game. It's the second game. We'll start with the Bills. Look, I think this is going to be a great game. I really do. I think this is a tough one to pick. I think Stizz would agree with that. Look, the Ravens are playing well. They look tough. I don't love the matchup for Buffalo, I'll be honest with you. The way I had things mapping out, I thought it was going to be Steelers, Bills, Ravens, Chiefs. And I thought the Bills would obviously beat the Steelers. I thought that was a good matchup for them. Right. This is really tough because the Bills' weakness is stopping the run. The Ravens' strength is running the ball.
Yeah.
So that concerns me. It really does. I think this game's on Josh Allen. It's a Josh Allen game. If you're going to win, Josh Allen's going to ball out and play really well. Now, the one good thing, Josh Allen has torn up man-to-man all year. And that's what the Ravens do. They play man-to-man, and they come after you, which, Allen's really beaten when, he's really done well when he gets pressure this year. So can he do it today? That's going to be the big question. But you can't let the Ravens just run the football down your throat and have these long 9, 10, 11 play drives. And the big thing, too, which has been happening, you can't let Lamar have these big plays. If he has another game of over 100 yards rushing, the Bills are in big trouble. They got to contain him somewhat. You got to go get him. You really do. You got to sack him, put pressure on him. You got to go get him, because if you just let him run around and run all over the field, you're going to be in trouble. I think the Bills are going to find a way at home offensively, but like I said, this game scares the hell out of me. It really does. Like I said, I got the Bills, being in the Super Bowl. I personally got the Bills at 25 as one of my teams with the Saints to win the Super Bowl in personal bets that I make. But this game scares the you-know-what out of me. But I'm going to take the Bills minus 2.5. I think at home, Josh Allen's going to find a way. But like I said, the Ravens scare the heck out of me. I like how they're playing. But you got 2 teams. Both teams are on nice runs, on winning streaks.
Both 7-0 since week 12.
Yeah, and that good point, Coach. And then not just that, too. The other thing that scares me, too, Coach, the Ravens have essentially been in the playoffs for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget, they were 6-5. They needed to win every week. So they've been playing game after game. Now, look, some of these games were against the Bengals and the Ravens beat the Jaguars. Ravens just beat up on those teams. But still, there's pressure to that, which has prepared you now. I'm going to go with Bills minus 2.5. But, honestly, I think this is like a coin flip game. I think it's really tough, and the Ravens scare me. Stizz, what do you like in this game? What do you think?
Well, I'm on board with you. The coach's point, both teams, coming in hot, 7-0 since week 12. This is the tale of the tape. You have Lamar Jackson, 1,005 rusher this season, okay? But he's only thrown for 2,757 yards, okay? Josh Allen is the opposite. Josh Allen, 421 yards rushing this year, but he's had 4,500 yards in the air. So to your point, they have to come after Lamar Jackson. I mean, there it is. There's your game plan right there. You get him frazzled, he doesn't throw the ball that much, so he depends on his legs. And I know they have a good rushing attack in J.K. Dobbins, but if you kind of frazzle Lamar Jackson, I think you got a good shot. And you don't want to play behind because, like you said, they're going to run, and
100%.
milk the clock out. But saying all that, I'm still backing Josh Allen. This kid has just been hot all year. He showed from the last 2 years that he can throw the ball and he can throw it accurate. Okay, I had some doubts this year going in.
Yep.
Fantasy-wise, I stayed away from him because of his inconsistencies the last couple of years. Well, now you see with Stephon Diggs, he has that connection, and boy, this kid's on fire. And he'll run the ball if you need to. So I'm going to jump on board. I do like the Bills as well, minus the 2.5. I actually took them on my end in a little parlay. I took them on the money line. I took them straight up to win the game, just in case, because I saw a line went up to 3. So I like the Bills to win this game and move on, probably against Kansas City. And that should be, wow, it's going to be something to talk about next week, fellas.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, Coach, who do you got? Who do you like?
I do have the Bills in the Super Bowl, so I'm going with the Bills. And, I mean, look, if I'm the Bills and I'm going to get beat by Lamar's not beating me, that rush by committee is fine, but I'm putting 2 guys on Lamar. He's not rushing the football today on me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's going to rush the football, but he is not getting 100 yards. He is not going to be the guy that carries the team. He's going to have to either throw the football or somebody else is going to beat me.
Right, and Coach, if you look to that Titans game, that I think was like 50-some yards. That touchdown's what really started breaking it open too, because obviously he throws the interception early, and they're down 10-0, which usually isn't that. That's not the Ravens' playbook to success, obviously.
Right.
No.
But then he has that big run. When you get that run too, it opens things up for you because obviously you don't want him to break out. And look, they played it perfect. It's just he is such an athletic freak. I mean, Kevin Byard played it perfect, but that's with the athleticism of Lamar Jackson. That's what happened. But I'm hoping McDermott does his job. He's a good defensive coordinator, and it's going to be a chess match. It really is, and we'll see what happens to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good one. Going to be a good one today. It's playoff Saturday.
Yeah, and look, you got to look a lot of great. I mean, I love all the matchups. I mean, tomorrow night obviously is the best one, Breeze, Brady. Yeah. But even too, you got Packers versus that great Rams defense, so Rodgers versus probably the best defense in the NFL. And then even tomorrow, you got Mahomes and KC against those surprising Browns. And the Browns trying to give it the old Muhammad Ali and shock the world. So it's going to be interesting. A lot to look forward to. I can't wait. I mean, I'm jonesing for 4:45 already, or whatever time that first game's starting, because I can't wait for it to start, man.
I agree 100%, man. I'm like, I got my list to-do list. I want to make sure I can get it done before 4:00 today. So
so
absolutely.
Now you want to switch to the Packers game?
Yep. So let's get in. We go to Lambeau, and like you said, the number 1 defense, probably the best corner in the league, against one of the best receivers. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers, obviously, that's going to be, I think, key today. And you tell me you're the prop guy, Stizz. What do you think about that with
that matchup?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Devontae Adams is going to have a rough time with Jalen Ramsey on him, but they're going to have to move Devontae around. I mean, this guy, like you said, he is the best receiver in the league. At least this year, he is for sure. So he's still going to get his. He's still going to find a way to get open. But I think Green Bay is going to have a tough time with this Rams defense. I mean, they really are. I don't know. I think the Rams actually have a shot in this game.
I agree with you. I agree with that, because what the Packers last year, you saw in the NFC Championship, they couldn't stop the run. They still have problems stopping the run. Correct. And all of a sudden, Cam Akers comes out of nowhere, basically, and is, running the ball really well. Yeah. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. Well, the big question to me is going to be, can the Rams score? If the Rams give that defense 24 points, it's going to be tough, man. Yeah, that's what I mean.
They win the game. They win the game if they give them 24 points.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good defense. I mean, that's a lot to ask Rodgers to go have to score 27 points on this defense. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I really do. Coach, want to put my bet up because, look, I love this tease. All right? I love this tease. It's a 7-point tease. Right now, my book has the Chiefs at 9.5. So, but I love this tease. It's going to be Packers +0.5 with the Chiefs tomorrow -2.5. I think the Packers are going to find a way at home in 20-degree weather. Donald's a little banged up. But look, when I lay 6.5.
And he wasn't on the injury report. I checked.
Right. I wouldn't lay 6.5. I like the Packers to win the game. Yeah, thanks, Coach, for that update. Yeah, Adam Schefter over here. But no, I like the Packers to win the game, but I really see a low-scoring game like 2017, something like that. It's going to. I don't think you're going to see a ton of points, but I think Rodgers is going to find a way to win at home. Because if not, man, you're going to hear a lot of chatter about Rodgers, MVP type season. But once again, we get to the playoffs and Rodgers can't get it done. That's going to be the narrative. When you're the quarterback, you get all the glory, but then when you lose, you get all the blame. Right. And there's some pressure on Aaron. I mean, let's not because he's had since that Super Bowl, he has not been very good in the playoffs. Let's be honest about it. They've had two good teams going to the playoffs that and that one was didn't they lose to the Giants the one year and they had a really good record, Coach?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's had a couple really good teams. But I think he finds a way today. I just think Goff in the 20-degree weather with that hand. I think Donald's banged up. I think Aaron's going to find a way. And look, I think Ramsey's going to, contain. I don't think he's going to shut down Davante Adams, but I think he's going to contain him. It's going to be about those other guys, MVS, Lazard, Tanyan, Aaron Jones. They're going to really need to mix it up. But once again, the whole narrative that Aaron Jones doesn't have people around him. They were talking about yesterday. He has the Packers have a Pro Bowl player on every position group. Offensive line, they have 2. They have a receiver, a running back. Their quarterback's a Pro Bowler. And then defensively, a linebacker, secondary, and then defensive line doesn't. But Kenny Clark's a hell of a defensive tackle. They have players on that line. Preston Smith, Zaire Smith. I mean, they got or Zadarius Smith, whatever his name is, but they got a lot of players in the Packers. So I just think they're going to find a way to get it done today. Look, L.A. going to play in 20-degree weather. Although they can run, the big player for the Rams, in my opinion, is going to be Cam Akers. If Cam Akers can run the ball and they have success running the ball in the Packers, which can happen, Packers could be in for a long day. I mean, Rodgers is going to need to score some points today.
Yeah, Rodgers 0-2 versus number 1 defenses in the playoffs too.
Oh, Stizz, look at that. Look at Stizz pulling that out. Look at that. Nice stats, Stizz. I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, and 27 degrees by game time in the frozen tundra. Jared Goff's 0-2 versus the spread in games with freezing temperatures prior to kickoff. So I agree with you. This is 2 different animals here. Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff. Jared Goff's, his finger's still banged up. In order to win this game, they have to run the ball. They have to run the ball well. Listen, they did it last week against Seattle, and Green Bay's run defense isn't that good. So they can do it, and they have to win it with the run game and the defense, and that's the only shot they have. This line's 6.5, and it's stayed steady. To me, I know it's number 1 defense, but man, that just looks too easy for Green Bay, which tells me I see more of a 4-point, 5-point win. I still like Green Bay to win the game, but I see more of a closer game than a touchdown game, to tell you the truth. Listen, Rams, 1 of 2 teams with 10+ sacks this year. Okay? Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd. I mean, they've been balling all year, so you're going to have to go up against some guys and Jalen Ramsey. That's a tough task, and, Coach says it all the time. Defense wins championships. So, we're going to see if that holds true today.
I really think from Green Bay, you're going to see a lot of crossing patterns from the receivers. They're going to be running across the field because I think that's the only way you're going to be able to, open up against a great secondary like what you see in the Rams. So. Yeah,
and a lot of people, you hear about Ramsey. Josh Johnson can play too.
Oh yeah,
he's a baller. But what I think you're going to see too, as Coach said, crossing patterns. I think you're going to see a lot of motion too. You're going to see a lot of moving Davante Adams around to try to get him in matchups that is favorable to the Packers. You're going to motion him, try to get Ramsey off him. Now, does Ramsey follow him around the field? That's very possible, especially with a guy like Adams. Because
I would if I was the Rams.
I agree. No, I agree too. I would too. But they're going to try what they can do to shift him around, move him around. And look, you might only get it a couple times, Stizz. You know what I mean? Where if they push it off, he obviously moves the coverage to somebody else. Mm-hmm. But, they're going to try to get, some motion moving around. Look, obviously LaFleur's good coach. I'll tell you this, he will run the football with Aaron Jones. But look, David Bakhtiari being out, is that going to be a big thing today? With that Rams pass rush with Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd, that could really hurt. No, Jay, I hope you're right. Jay. But like I said, you're missing your big left tackle too.
Right.
So gonna be a good game. I mean, it really is. And I agree with what Stizz said too. I think it's gonna come down to Rodgers and Goff, and Rodgers is just a better quarterback.
Well, yeah, by far.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. So I look forward to it. Yeah. Now let's before we start with the prop bet of the day.
Okay.
We got a little programming note for tomorrow. Okay, the great guru, the Magi, as he likes to be called. Okay. He'll be down at Phil and Jim's tomorrow. So he won't be able to join us. So, if you want your pick live, you could go down to Phil and Jim's. You got to get a cheesesteak. You got to get a couple of steaks to get your prop bet.
That's right.
But we will have it here. We'll get an update from Phil and Jim's tomorrow, right?
Absolutely. I'm going to put the coupons out there. You buy 2 cheesesteaks, you get a free prop pick.
There you go.
Get some advice. Get some advice in the meantime. So.
Stizz, I'm gonna get a lot of people. The line's gonna be out the door, man, waiting to get in and get the Stizz's prop bet.
That's what I'm afraid of. At Edgemont Avenue, they're gonna have crossing guards over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you better get there early. Listen,
I'm a man of many talents. My guys from Phil and Jim's, they hit me up during the week. They needed a little help. I told them, look, man, I'm the man. It's just like riding a bike. I'll come in, give you guys a hand all day, and have fun in the meantime. So yeah. So we'll see what happens. But let's get to the real. Let's get to the real action.
Is that Nevada Nick kiboshed the whole doing the show from Phil and Jim's. We could have, while you were, we would have set the camera up right over the grill.
Coach, in a day and a half, that's a lot to put together. And I said it'll be better after all this craziness that's going on is over and things are wide open and the masses can come, me see Stizz. I mean, you don't understand. Stizz is famous from Phil and Jim's, man.
Yeah, I know. So I know.
In all seriousness, yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm looking forward to see a lot of old customers, probably say, man, what are you doing here? So yeah, it'll be a good time for sure.
Sure.
All right. So let's get to the prop bet of the day.
Let's get to the money. Let's get to the money part of this of this show. So yeah, 28-6. Still running hot, man. I'm overdue, but not yet. I'm gonna stay hot. I'm gonna go to this first game, and I'm gonna go with. We talked about him, Mr. Cam Akers, over 69.5 rushing yards. We've seen what he did last week: 28 carries, 131 yards, and a touchdown against Seattle. We said it. That's what they're going to need. They're going to need a good rushing attack and good defensive plays this week, for the Rams to have a shot. So I like this pick. I'm going to try to stay on the trend, try to go, 29-6, look to get 30 by Sunday. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if I can stay hot. But I'm going to keep on trucking, fellas.
Yeah.
Take Cam Akers over 69.5.
Yeah, and then, Coach, I got one too. I'm going to go MVS. What's his first name, Stizz? I can
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Thank you, Stizz. I'm going to go him over. Let me see, make sure what it is. I think it's over. I'm going to double check. Sorry, Coach. I want to make sure.
Yeah,
everybody,
over 25.5. It's 25.5 now. So over.
I want everybody to know. You notice
So.
his doesn't get put up on the screen because he's got to try to do it after
I gave
research.
Dobbins last week to score. That happened
me in time to make sure I could get a banner up for.
Well, Coach, and Stizz will tell you these prop bet lines don't come out to the last minute. And Stizz grabbed his this morning, right, Stizz?
Yeah.
They don't come out till
changed already. So you better get your bet in quick.
Yeah, that's right. So, especially Stizz's because his is winning. But I like MVS today, and then I told you, take the tees, 2 teams, 7-point tees. Packers +0.5, Chiefs -2.5. Love it. One of my teases of the year. I really like it.
Tommy Bouchain.
There he is, the
PP eater showing up the last 2 minutes of the show. We appreciate it.
PP is back.
PP eater. So, all right. Great show, guys. Great show. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll recap the 2 games. Make sure you go over to YouTube, like the page, subscribe, like the page here on Facebook. Remember, it's Nevada_Nick on Twitter and Instagram if you want to reach out. So it's we appreciate everyone checking us out. Enjoy some football today, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks a lot, guys. All right, PP Eater, thanks for checking us out. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys.